What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the Triple Play Fantasy YouTube channel. I haven't been on here in a while, but you remember me, Kevin Coleman at DuBois_22, and this is Jacob Dunn at Ain't Done Yet, and we are going to give you guys a new series. It's called Blue Chip Prospects. I got to give Jacob credit; he's the one that came up with the name. I'd love to come up with that name, but we also James will be on this one as well. We're going to be kind of rotating as we go through because we're busy people. But we're going to be looking at the next great high school player that's coming to college, and who are we going to look at as maybe being in that next class of 2023 class that's going to be drafted. So I'm excited about this. Jacob, how are you?
I am good, my man. Yeah, like with the Blue Chips prospect, like that was like the first thing that came to mind, because I'm like, what's a really good movie? And it's like Blue Chips with Shaq and Penny Hardaway is like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? So yeah, man, I'm good. I'm doing good, man. How about you?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to talk about this because it's my Dookie. As
Let's
everybody knows,
go.
I'm a Duke fan, so we're going to go into that. So what we're going to do very quickly, we're just going to talk about these guys. Player breakdown is first, and just to kind of give you some background of the first guy we're going to talk about, Dereck Lively, #1 rated recruit on 247 Sports in the nation. He is going to Duke, like I said. He was going Kentucky, North Carolina had all offered him, DePaul, also all these other schools there.
Yeah.
But he signed with Duke, one of big John Shire's new head coach, John Shire's new guy that he's going to be kind of building around. Last year, he played in Pennsylvania. So when we're looking at where he went, Westtown School, Westchester, Pennsylvania, 7'1", 220. He's listed around 7'1", 7'2". He led his team to the 31-7 record. And he also won the state championship last year in Pennsylvania. He averaged 14 points, 14 rebounds, 4.5 blocks, which the blocks is Jacob's excited about the blocks there. McDonald's All-American, first team All-State. This kid pretty much did it all. What do you like about him? What are his strengths to you?
So it's his defense, and specifically his shot blocking. Like you just said, Kevin, 4.5 blocks per game is insane. I mean, the dude is everywhere in the front court, swatting everything in sight. All right, Lively was named the Gatorade Player of the Year, not only for his 14.5 and 14 double-double average, but for the 4.5 swats we have been talking about. I mean, I am a huge fan of the rim protecting big man, and he is everywhere. All right, the 18-year-old is a game-changing rim protector. All right, his defense is absolutely his biggest strength heading into his freshman year at Duke.
I think you mentioned it too, like motor. Like I
Yes.
when you look at all the scouts and they talk about
Energy.
it, this kid loves playing center. Like he loves
Yes.
playing that role. And you watch him on the film. I mean, he plays in a division when I was looking it up. It's okay division, but when you're looking at him, he's obviously the biggest kid out there. I mean, 7'7" but just he values rebounding, sprinting floor in there. And like the comp that a lot of the guys are getting from him right now is Tyson Chandler. So remember our boy Tyson Chandler from back in the day. Like he has that. Like when he creates for his team, you'll see it here. Like I love it as a former coach and a guy that used to do this. He does all those little things that you like to see, and I think that's the improvement right there. So if we look at this, he has a pretty good stroke from the 3-point land. And that's something that they said that he's been working on because he knows in the NBA he's going to have to do this. So it'll be interesting to see how well he develops that shot. But all the other stuff he kind of has, right? He already got the pretty good size at that 220 mark. Like he's not a skinny kid. He could probably put on a little bit more there. The rim control and the defensive side is what's exciting because he's going to be able to do that. You see him getting the putbacks and doing all those things, but that like rim control, the rebounding, blocking, kind of all those things, alter shots. Like I think that's where his value is going to be.
Right. So if he is like a Tyson Chandler, I hope he can develop his 3-point shot, because if he is a Tyson Chandler, he will be a very good pro. But if he can develop that 3-point shot, he will be unstoppable. So I watched a lot of clips on him as well, and he does have a sweet stroke. But most of the clips that I watched were his highlights. So it's like, he has a nice he has a nice 3-point stroke, but I haven't seen his misses. And what I've read is that he needs to improve on that, and he is going to a John Shire coached Duke team to be developed into a shooter, just because his inside game is elite. His dunks, his layups, he is a lob threat every single time. Like he has been the recipient of multiple alley-oops, like if not hundreds. Like he will score anything within 10 feet. Okay, but he needs to work on everything 10 feet and above. All right, so his mid-range game and his 3-point game. So I really think, like, I read an article on Slam magazine about Dereck Lively, and Dereck Lively was quoted saying, like, you know, I have been watching these Duke guys like Jason Tatum, Brandon Ingram, Zion, RJ Barrett, and Cam Reddish, how they developed their game at Duke and how they became better shooters. And he is hoping that for himself. So I like that he knows that he is an unfinished product and needs to be developed more. And I think he's going to the perfect situation with Jon Scheyer at Duke.
I do too. I love where he's going. I mean, we were looking at that, and we could talk about team fit now, and that's kind of what we mentioned.
Yeah.
I was never a big proponent of Coach K. I love Coach K, like as there, but as the X's and O's guys, I'd be worried about his development because I feel like he would put him around the basket and it would kind of limit him. Right. Scheyer has talked about how he's going to change. He's going to change his kind of offense, and so we don't know what that offense is going to look like yet. So envisioning what he's going to look like in that offense, I think is kind of a tougher ask, just because we don't know necessarily what it's going to look like, but I do think they're going to use him more pop and shoot. We're going to see the pick and roll action. We're going to see that. And I think that's where he fits pretty well. And when you look at like what their projection lineup's going to be next year for Duke, they lost a lot of guys. We know that they lost dudes in the NBA all over the place. And when you're looking at like just where they come from, I think Roach is still going to be there. When you're looking at kind of how they're going to fit, they're going to probably start 4 freshmen next to him, like, or 3 freshmen plus him. So when we're looking at how they're going to basically do that, you're going to look at a very young team. But I think he's the type of guy that can come in and just play with anybody based on what we're talking about. So when we're looking at his ability to kind of be that game changer on the defensive side, I think offensively is where I wonder where he's going to basically elevate. Can he get himself into that next level of athlete? But from a team perspective, he's the type of guy that you want to build around, because they're just going to throw him in and he's going to be able to fit around all the guys around there.
100%, man. An athletic 7'2" big man. I mean, you can circle anyone around him. And Duke leads the nation in 5-star recruits with 4.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And so him and Dereck Whitehead, I mean, like, that's going to be an amazing tandem. You know, like, it's going to be like an NBA, like Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, or, you know, like something like that. And hopefully, Dereck Lively can develop his shot so that he can be better than Rudy Gobert. But still, I mean, like, I think that's going to be a very fun team to watch. And I'm excited for Jon Scheyer at Duke, because I think he'll be a little bit more flexible, whereas Coach K was a little bit more rigid, you know, like old school. I think that Jon Scheyer is going to get the most out of these kids. And Dereck Lively has the highest ceiling in college basketball right now.
I think he's uber talented when you look at what he does. Yeah. And when you're looking at like this is probably the projected starting 5. Jeremy Roach, the point guard, Tyrese Proctor, freshman point guard. They'll probably have him playing in that backcourt. Then you got Dereck Whitehead, who you talked about. We're going to talk about on the show because I love Dereck Whitehead. He's one of my favorites. Kyle Flipowski's going to be there probably at forward. And then you have Lively. That front court is probably the best front court that Duke's had in a long time.
Absolutely.
And as a Duke fan, I haven't seen that. And then you're looking at kind of where you're looking at, unless they get someone in the transfer portal, his reserves are going to be pretty deep too. I mean, they got Jalen Blakes, they have Jaden Shutt, Mark Mitchell, Cale Ketchings, Ryan Young. And when you're looking at kind of how they're going to be able to fit around them, Mitchell's really good. I don't know if he's going to come off the bench and not start, but he's going to be there. I think Lively fits well because within the system, he can be that every kind of catch-all guy. I think the question is going to be for us is like, where do we project him as a pro prospect? So he's the number 1 prospect for 247 sports. But so when I look at the NBA draft room, which, you know, you never quite know where their rankings are. Right now, they have him as 21st pick in the draft. Okay. So do you think that's fair, or where do you have him as your pro prospect?
That's a little bit unfair to me. I have him as a definite lottery pick, but towards the end of the lottery, if not right outside of it, you know, like somewhere between like the 12 and 16 range. You know, like call it a lazy comp, but I liken him to Anthony Davis. All right. Anthony Davis averaged 4.7 blocks in his freshman year at Kentucky. All right. Along with 14 points and 10 boards on 62% shooting. I think Lively can be that sort of player at Duke, like a double-double guy, shot blocking galore with great field goal percentage. All right. Now, Anthony Davis didn't take a lot of 3-pointers. He only took a half a 3-pointer a game across 40 games, and he made 0.1. All right. So like, he's not shooting a lot, and he carried that into the NBA. In his first 3 years, he only averaged 0.1 3-pointers a game. All right. So he wasn't shooting much, but that summer in 2015, going into his 4th year, Anthony Davis developed a 3-point shot where his averages climbed each year for the next 4 years to 1.8 attempts, 2.2, 2.6, and 3.5, which I think Lively can develop that shot. We have seen his tapes in high school. Okay.
Yeah.
He is not polished. He knows it. His coach knows it, but he can be that guy. He can be that guy to morph his shot so that he can be not only a shot blocking beast and a rebounder and make everything within 10 feet, but he can step outside and just be an unstoppable force. So I think that Lively will take a similar trajectory as being an elite defender who is going to average about a double-double in college and in his first few years in the NBA and start developing a shot between his third year and 4th year in the NBA and be a true all-around force at the next level once he hits around age 23.
Yeah. I tend to agree. I would be shocked to see him fall out of the lottery just because of upside and ceiling.
Yeah.
Like
right.
when you're looking at who's in that spot and you're looking where they're going. I mean, just if he can fill out defensively, get that weight on, hit those threes, and kind of develop his offensive game, I think his defensive game is there. And I think that he's athletic enough too to move. Like, and he knows what he is as a basketball player, and so he's a high level prospect. If he can hit those intangibles and like actually fill out and make sure that he hits those, like when you're looking at threes and looking at his ability to kind of shoot, if he can do that on the offensive side, I'm all on board with this kid. I think that he could be very good, but he's a great late lottery stash or grab like in the NBA draft.
Yeah, like right now, so if he were to enter the NBA draft right now, just based on his elite defensive skill, he would be a 12 to 16 pick. If he does, like you said, develop a 3-point shot and makes almost to 1.3s a game or 1.2 threes per game, like, you know, like if he just makes 1 3 a game, like averages that, he's going to be vaulted into a top 5 pick and maybe even a top 3 pick because that elite shot blocking, rim protecting ability with a 3-point shot, forget it, man. He's definitely a top 3 pick.
And the NBA needs guys like this. It's lacking a little bit this area. Like when you look at like the draft, even this draft, like he's going to fill a need for a lot of teams, and I think that's also exciting for people out there. So we appreciate you guys tuning in the first Blue Chip Prospects. We got Dereck Lively from Duke that we just talked about, where he's at, what his fit is, what you could be excited about. Next time we'll see who's up, and just make sure you hit that like and subscribe button. Jacob, appreciate you jumping on.
Absolutely, brother. Cheers.
All right, guys. See ya.